Welcome to Phantom Tales from Vietnam, a channel dedicated to retelling chilling spiritual stories based on true events. Today, we invite you to listen to a haunting tale about love magic, where resentment lingers beyond the boundary of life and death. This happened more than a decade ago when Min was still working as a construction laborer in the city. At that time, my best friend Tuan and I rented a room together in an old shabby house on the outskirts of Saigon. The room was damp, moldy, with a musty smell that clung to our clothes, but we endured it because money was tight. Tuan was a gentle, quiet guy, hard-working and well-liked by everyone. But after that year's Lunar New Year, he started to change in strange ways. At first, it was insomnia, then a loss of appetite and visible weight loss. I thought he was just overworking himself, but at night I started hearing him muttering, moaning, even suddenly sitting up like he was sleepwalking. One night I pretended to sleep to see what he was up to. Around 2 a.m. he opened his eyes wide and mumbled, "You're so beautiful, don't leave me. I'll follow you forever." His voice was hoarse, like something was choking him. I was covered in goosebumps. I called out to him, but his eyes were all white, no pupils. The next morning when I asked him about it, he remembered nothing. Frightened, I took him to the hospital. Both physical and mental exams showed nothing abnormal. But back home, he grew stranger. His body became emaciated, eyes sunken with dark circles, hair falling out, and his breath reeked like rotting meat. Uncle Hai, the landlord and a Central Vietnamese native, saw Tuan and quietly told me, "I think your friend's been cursed with love magic. If he's not saved in time, he'll die." At first, I was skeptical, but Uncle Hai shared stories of people he'd seen before, those who had been cursed with Ngayo, love sorcery, gradually wasting away as if their souls were being drained. He told me to find Master Hugh, an old spiritual healer and sorcerer in Thu Duc. That day it was drizzling as I drove Tuan to Master Hugh's house, a small home nestled under an ancient tamarind tree adorned with red cloth charms and wind chimes clinking eerily. As soon as he saw Tuan, Master Hugh frowned. "It's late. He's been cursed with a mix of love and death sorcery. If we don't remove it in time, he'll die. But if we do, the one who cast the spell may die too." Through his words, I learned that Tuan had once dated a girl named Hong, who worked at the same company and was from Dong Nai. She was deeply infatuated with Tuan, but was rejected. After disappearing for a while, she returned with an eerie appearance, pale skin, hollow eyes, and a gloomy demeanor. Then she abruptly quit her job and vanished again. Master Hui said she went to the jungle to learn black magic. She crafted a love curse using her hair and menstrual blood, embedding Tuan's name into a doll. She didn't want him to live, only to ensure he could never love another. My spine turned cold. The master asked me to stay and assist with the rituals, 3 nights in a row at precise spiritual hours. Each night would be a battle between realms of yin and yang. We spent that first night at Master Hugh's. The ritual room was lit by flickering oil lamps. The wind howled through cracks in the walls. "Whatever happens," Master Hugh warned, "don't break the protection circle. Step out and you'll die." The ritual began at 11 p.m. The master laid out a wax doll, a jar of thick black blood, and burnt curled hair, components he'd extracted from Tuan's aura. Tuan sat inside the circle as the master drew a blood charm around him. At the 3rd chime of the ceremonial bell, a sudden wind blasted through the closed room. Tuan slumped forward, murmuring, "Don't go. I'm waiting. You mustn't forget me." Suddenly, he convulsed as if being strangled, his body contorting like a bowstring, then vomited a clump of hair matted with blood. Terrified, I held my ground. The master chanted, "Heaven and earth, return the essence, expel the curse, sever the fated bond." The incense in the center burned in reverse, smoke forming a human face hangs. Her eyes were pitch black, blood streaming from them. The master, trembling, told me to splash her face with holy water. A screech pierced the air like needles in my brain. Silence. Night 2, Between Realms. The next night was the ritual to summon the wrong spirit, a dangerous act, opening the door between the living and the dead. Storm clouds gathered. Tuan lay on the floor, surrounded by 4 bowls of chicken blood placed at cardinal points. The master began chanting in ancient Khmer. Each syllable sent shivers through me. My heart pounded. By midnight, the temperature dropped sharply. A rancid smell like decayed corpses filled the room. Then a female voice whispered from the wind, "I love him. I just want to keep him with me." A white silhouette floated past, its long hair hiding its face. A ghostly visage hovered behind Tuan, stroking his chest. "You have violated the sacred balance by forging a love curse in hatred. Leave now," the master growled. The girl screamed, her mouth tearing wide open, revealing blood-stained fangs, all 4 lamps extinguished. Tuan screamed, eyes bloodshot, and vomited. A dead, dried lizard. The master said gravely, "The curse has taken form. Tomorrow is the final, decisive night." Night 3, severing the soul. The last ritual had to sever the soul tether, the 3rd soul fragment that was still held captive by the curse. We held it at an abandoned shrine near a graveyard, heavy with yin energy. I could hear distant cries of mourning. Tuan was tied to a stone pillar within a circle drawn from lime and black dog blood. 4 red lanterns marked the corners. The master wielded a sacred machete, striking a doll bearing Hang's name, chanting, "Sever this bond, end this grudge, dissolve this curse, return the soul." Suddenly, the air exploded into a whirlwind. From the smoke emerged Hang, pale, bleeding, with a gaze full of twisted love and vengeance. She screamed, "I died for him. No one else can have him." Tuan jolted up. His eyes were empty, his voice not his own. "I love you. I'll go with you." We were horrified. The master struck the ground with a sacred staff, shouting, "Heaven and earth bear witness. Let this false love die. Let the curse shatter." The lanterns burst into flames, then died. A thunderous roar echoed. Silence. The next morning, Tuan woke. His eyes were vacant, but his complexion improved. He remembered nothing. Master Hugh said, "Only part of his soul has returned. He must rest, but the curse is broken." I thanked him profusely, but he only said, "Some loves are not love at all, but ancient grudges." Tuan was sent to his hometown to recover. Since then, he no longer hallucinated or vomited hair, but his gaze remained empty, as if part of him was still trapped elsewhere. One night, I received a phone call from Tuan's aunt, trembling. Tuan climbed to the roof and jumped. "He's dead." Shocked, I rushed home. His coffin lay in the yard, incense thick in the air. Strangely, his funeral portrait was foggy, candles burned backward, flames red as blood. Night watch, a tragic end. His aunt said Tuan had sat before Hang's altar, smiling, before shouting, "Darling, I'm coming to you." Then jumped from the rooftop. Oddly, his body wasn't broken. Instead, his hair was all gone, skin blackened, and in his mouth was Hang's silver necklace. That night, Master Hugh and I stayed to guard the body. At 2 a.m., the lights went out. A woman's cry echoed near the coffin, soft but freezing cold. The master pulled out a sacred mirror and aimed it at Tuan's face. The mirror showed 2 figures, Tuan and Hang, wearing a white dress, hair down, eyes weeping blood. She shrieked, "He's mine! No one can come between us, even in death!" The coffin shook violently. The lid burst open. Tuan opened his eyes. They were pure white, his body contorting, and a chilling laugh erupted. I almost collapsed. "It's corpse possession," the master shouted. "He hasn't passed on. He's become a vessel." He struck the coffin with a peachwood sword dipped in chicken blood. Fire ignited the 4 corners. Black smoke billowed as the curse screamed, "Liar! You promised to love me forever." Tuan's body burned, not normally, but from inside out, as if hellfire was dragging his soul down. Afterward, I asked, "Didn't we sever the curse? Why did he still die?" The master sighed. "A love curse forged from a wrongful death can't be cut. It can only dissolve if the victim truly returns that love. But if hatred outweighs love, the curse takes their life." Tuan had never truly loved Hang. He pitied her, nothing more. That indifference drove her to suicide, turning her into a resentful spirit who used love magic to bind him eternally. The result, 2 deaths, one body alive, soul trapped, one dead, but spirit unrelenting. Months later, I moved away, burned everything tied to the past. But some nights I still dreamed of Tuan, standing by the road, holding a clump of hair, whispering, "I'm not afraid of the curse anymore, just afraid. She's still waiting in the dark." I thought it was over when his body was cremated. But weeks later, the nightmares returned. In them, Tuan stood in a dark room, hair messy, pointing behind me. "There's another one. She's not done yet." I'd wake drenched in sweat. At 3 a.m., moonlight revealed a shadow in the corner of my room. But when I turned on the light, nothing, only the faint smell of burnt hair. Khan, Tuan's university friend, was quiet and introspective. He once secretly liked Hang but backed off, knowing she loved Tuan. He never came to the funerals. I assumed grief kept him away. Until one day I saw him at our old cafe. He was gaunt, eyes dark, voice hoarse like he hadn't slept, fingernails nearly all fallen off. I see her every night. She sits at my bed's edge, hair covering her face, holding that old necklace. She smiles, but her eyes are blank. I froze. I never did anything. I just loved her silently. Why is she haunting me? I told Master Hugh. He fell silent, then said, Hang hasn't let go. When her body was burned, her spirit latched onto a new host, someone who once loved her, even secretly. A post-mortem love curse turns into a shadow curse. It needs no ritual, no blood, only unspoken affection to take root. Khan had become the next victim, not for wrongdoing, but for loving the wrong person at the wrong time. We rushed to perform a cleansing at Khan's house. As the ritual began, mirrors cracked, clocks stopped at midnight. Footsteps echoed from the kitchen, though only 3 of us were present. Khan convulsed. From his mouth, burnt hair poured out, and a faint female voice whispered, You promised to protect me. This time, she didn't want vengeance. She wanted a replacement. The master struck a bell 3 times, chanting a spell to banish shadow curses. Wind howled, windows flew open, the room shook. From Khan's back, dark smoke spiraled out, forming a girl's silhouette, hair to her heels, face a hollow void. Return the soul to the living, the master commanded. The shadow shrieked and faded, but the necklace around Khan's neck didn't burn. It fell to the ground, spinning 3 times, then stilled. The master instructed me to bury it at a crossroads with black dog blood and graveyard soil. I obeyed. That night I dreamed of Hang. For the first time her face looked gentle. She whispered, Thank you for helping me let go, then vanished in the rain. A week later I returned to the crossroads. Curious, I checked the buried spot. The necklace was gone. Someone had unearthed it. Since then, strange events plagued the town. Dogs howling at night, young people vanishing, corpses found with missing hair. What happened to Tuan was happening again. Rumor has it, another girl found that necklace and unwittingly became the next sorceress. Love curses don't die, they only change hands. As long as the human heart clings to love and to hatred, the curse will live on. For listening to today's story on Phantom Tales from Vietnam. If you enjoy chilling spiritual tales, don't forget to check out our upcoming episodes, where many mysteries are still waiting to be uncovered. See you next time.